On March 23rd, Chairman Xi Jinping attended a memorial service. It wasn't for those who died in the plane crash of Eastern Airlines, but for a member of a political party. The Chinese Communist Party, or CCP, has retained a number of political parties as props for democracy. From the photos at the memorial service, people noticed that Xi's gray hair had increased significantly. Compared to his previous public appearance, it feels as if he turned gray overnight. It has made people wonder if Xi Jinping has been under too much pressure lately. Our observation shows that the recent war in Ukraine and the plane crash of China Eastern Airlines are both related to the intense struggle inside the CCP. Hair color is often seen as a symbol of status within the CCP. For example, in 2015, China's national TV broadcasted footage of a highly ranked official confessing his crimes before being sentenced in court. His once black hair turned gray during his imprisonment. For decades, Chinese leaders have had unnatural black hair. It serves as a symbol of unity and a veneer of youthfulness for the Communist Party. Xi is an exception. It seems he tries to give up such vanity and prefers an image of himself as an amiable leader. So in defiance of the long-standing Communist Party tradition, he hasn't mind showing the world his gray hair. When he took power in 2012, his hair was mostly black. It's said in 2016, a delegate to the National People's Congress observed in a meeting that Xi had a little more gray hair. Following Xi's lead, at least 7 of the 25 members of the Communist Party's top leadership, the Politburo, have also gone gray, including Vice Premier Liu He and Foreign Minister Wang Yi. However, on March 23rd, it was the first time that Xi was seen to have so much gray hair. We can compare it to what he looked like in public in the first half of March during the 2 sessions when he had some gray hair, but it wasn't that conspicuous. Internationally, the war between Russia and Ukraine must have put a lot of pressure on him. On March 24th, Xi spoke with American President Joe Biden. At a press conference, Biden said he made it clear to Xi, not a threat, that he would be putting himself in significant danger if he provided assistance to Russia. The U.S. has warned several times that there would be serious consequences for Beijing if it provided aid to Russia. A Russian Foreign Ministry spokeswoman warned Beijing on Telegram on March 23rd that it appears the U.S. is intentionally punishing the Chinese Communist Party for its neutral stance. She said the next target they want to tear to pieces is Beijing, but more pressure could come from the life-and-death struggle within the CCP. According to the Wall Street Journal, Xi's power struggle has become fractured, with retired party bigwigs, including the former premier, opposing Xi's re-election. On March 11th, a high-ranked CCP official published an op-ed piece on the U.S.-China Perception Monitor, the official website of the Carter Center, titled China's Choice and the Possible Outcome of the Russia-Ukraine War. The piece represents a subtle voice against the war within the CCP. The website editor-in-chief is Liu Yawei. Liu Yawei's brother is a CCP admiral who is rumored to have been arrested last December for opposing Xi, but no official announcement has been made. To analyze the anti-Xi forces within the CCP, there are probably 2 main ones currently. The most powerful one is the former party leader Jiang Zemin and his faction. Jiang controlled the CCP for more than 2 decades and cultivated huge military, official, and business influences through bribes and corruption. The second force is the staunch supporters of China's reform and opening up policy, whose core value is a powerful market economy, plus the original CCP princelings who pushed Xi Jinping into power. That is, the various red powerful families of the CCP. They have now turned against Xi because they aren't allowed to share the highest power anymore. Admiral Liu Yajou seems to belong to the second group. Among the opposition, the Jiang group still holds the most power. The 20th Communist Party Congress will be held this fall. This meeting will decide whether Xi will be re-elected as the party leader. It is very likely that these 2 opposing forces will unite against Xi. They don't necessarily have a shared philosophy, but they will take advantage of all kinds of opportunities, play different cards, and raise various ideas just to take down Xi. Fundamentally, they represent the interests of the powerful and elite groups, not the average Chinese people. Opposing Xi without opposing the Communist Party is an important trademark for them. On March 21st, China Eastern Airlines flight MU-5735 crashed, killing all 132 people on board. Although the two black boxes have been recovered, the cause of the crash remains unclear. Presently, DNA matching for the 132 victims has been completed, and the group is working on plans for transfer and classification of victims' remains and belongings, as well as the standards thereof. Some analysts believe there may be a political scheme behind the crash. On the day of the accident, Xi demanded a thorough investigation right away, while Premier Li Keqiang also called for a thorough investigation, ordering a comprehensive investigation in all sectors to prevent mass fatalities and injuries to rein in serious accidents. Another unusual aspect is that the highest-ranking official sent to investigate this time is Chinese Vice Premier Liu He. He has never appeared in scenes like this before. Normally, the Minister of Emergency Management would handle such accidents. So it's a rare move by the CCP, and it may have something to do with Xi's top central government, which might be deploying a high level of precautionary measures. In addition, the CCP surprisingly dispatched its military forces from the southern war zone and sent home unrelated units. Armed police were put in charge of blacking out the press. This is unusual because the plane was a civilian aircraft, not a military one. The purpose of dispatching military units is to have strict information control or to conduct military appraisals. By excluding other units, they could keep the crash site under a tight seal. Is it possible that the crash involves someone important? It would mean that an internal power struggle is involved. Before the power reshuffles in the fall at the 20th National Congress, it can't be ruled out of the possibility of plane crashes being used to eliminate political enemies or the possibility of defection, coup d'etat, or infighting. The Chinese government has so far refused to release the names of the victims, arguing that personal information about the victims is not part of the active disclosure process. But this was not the case with the government's previous response to plane crashes. On May 7, 2002, Northern Airlines flight CJ6136 crashed into Dalian. 2 days later, the State Council's accident management team authorized Xinhua news agency to release the names, genders, workplaces, and addresses of the 103 passengers and 9 crew members. On November 21, 2004, China Eastern Airlines flight MU-5210 crashed. The list of 47 passengers killed was also released to the public after being authorized by the investigation team of the State Council 2 days later. On August 24, 2010, the list of the 44 passengers killed in the crash in Yichun was also released to the public 2 days later. CCTV News, China's national TV station, used scrolling subtitles to type out the list of victims, and the anchor read out the victims' names. Western audiences might feel that the issue of Xi's gray hair has been overly interpreted, and that Xi's hair color isn't particularly meaningful as it could be just a result of his age. It may be true, but in traditional Chinese medicine, great stress and anxiety are considered major causes of increased gray hair in a short period of time. There is a well-known historical tale of hair turning gray overnight in China. In the spring and autumn period, approximately 770 to 476 BCE, there was a very capable minister in the state of Chu. His name was Wu Zixu. The Chu emperor listened to the lies and wanted to kill him. He had to escape from a heavily guarded fortress in order to be safe. Under great pressure, the minister's hair turned gray overnight. He managed to escape when the guards failed to identify him because of his gray hair. He later led his army and defeated the state of Chu. This story is familiar to most Chinese, so the appearance of Xi's gray hair has been surprising for them and sparked many speculations. Despite the CCP's push for atheism and the theory of evolution among the Chinese people, many senior CCP officials are big believers in feng shui and omens. In June 2015, People's Daily Online, the official website of the CCP, criticized in an article about the phenomenon of CCP officials believing in ghosts and gods, obsessing over fortune-telling, worshipping Buddha and deities, and idolizing Qigong masters. The article cited examples such as not having floor numbers 4, 13, or 14 in government buildings, applying feng shui when positioning office furniture, placing feng shui objects in the workplace, changing names of places because they are unlucky, initiating projects by simply listening to prophecy masters, and demolishing buildings because they block feng shui. The new building, like the one in this video, was demolished because the city leaders thought it was blocking the city's feng shui.
哎呀，华源河畔民居这个商务楼，你看多好的楼呀！哎呀，这拆了，真的看着心疼啊，看着真让人心疼。哎呀。
Although the first-generation CCP leader, Mao Zedong, claimed to be an atheist, he never in his life stopped seeking guidance from fortune-tellers and strictly followed their advice. For example, after he seized power, he decided to enter Beijing on September 9th. He named his personal guards Unit 8341. It turns out he was in power for 41 years and died at the age of 83. He never returned to Yan'an, the headquarters of the CCP before it took over China. Nor did he ever enter the Forbidden City, which is the center of the ancient walled city of Beijing, and where imperial emperors lived. These moves were all advice from his fortune-teller. In 1976, a meteorite fell in Jilin, and Mao was terrified. He told his secretary, "A big stone falling from the sky means that someone is going to die." He died in 1976. Jiang Zemin, the former party leader, visited China's top mountains many times to pay homage to Buddha and deities because he knew he had sinned so much. Some informants claim that Jiang copied the Buddhist scripture at home, hoping to save himself from the terrible punishment from hell. Such background helps us understand Xi's psychological state. As we introduced in previous episodes, a major event happened in Beijing in early March during the two sessions, China's most important political meetings of the year. Namely, on March 4th, the gate of a grand hall in the Forbidden City was blown down by high winds. It happened at the Taihe Hall, or the Hall of Supreme Harmony. The Forbidden City was the imperial palace of the Ming and Qing dynasties and took 14 years to build. Since its completion in 1420, it has a history of more than 600 years. The Taihe Hall is the ceremonial center of imperial power. It's the largest complex in the Forbidden City and of the highest rank. This is where the Ming and Qing emperors were enthroned, the empress was installed, and the 24 emperors held ceremonies. It's considered the first hall of China and a symbol of power. March 4th, 2022, the second day of the second month of the Chinese Yellow Calendar, is the traditional Zhonghe festival, the folklore story of the dragon raising its head. It marks the beginning of spring and is considered the most beautiful and tender moment of the year. However, it was on such a day that a force 7 gale blew down the gate of the Taihe Hall in the Forbidden City. Chinese people with a traditional cultural mindset would believe the incident contains a hidden heavenly message. One can imagine the spiritual and psychological impact of these events on the CCP elite sitting at the pinnacle of their power. For it's a harbinger of things to come. The gate symbolizing a dynasty has fallen, and the hall has opened its entrance on its own accord to welcome a new master. For the CCP, the bad omens don't stop there. Around 5 p.m. on March 25th, several photos and videos of a suspected fire near the Forbidden City were circulating on Chinese social media platforms such as Weibo. Smoke could be seen clearly in Tiananmen Square near Zhongnanhai, and pedestrians stopped by the side of the road to watch. The topic of Forbidden City fire was discussed among online users. The news was quickly blocked. When searching for Forbidden City on fire on Weibo, no results could be found. Fire! I just entered the north gate of Beihai Park. Judging from here, the fire is in the direction of the front gate of Beihai Park. I'm not sure if it's inside or outside the park. If it's outside the park, it would be Zhongnanhai. This is live streaming. According to people familiar with the topography of Beijing, combining the angles from which these videos and photos were taken, the location of the fire is most likely Zhongnanhai. What is Zhongnanhai? It is the office and residence of the top leadership of the CCP. There is no way to determine the cause of the fire, nor its exact location. But whatever the cause, a fire in the Zhongnanhai area is no small matter. It's an extremely sensitive area. People who work there are highly cautious. Any accident there could lead to wild speculation, yet a fire happened right on a spot where the CCP's most sensitive nerve lies. It has sparked wild public speculations. Is there a fire in the party's backyard, or is it about to burn it down to the ground? This kind of thinking and speculation is what the CCP fears most and the last thing it wants to see.